Many events are relevant in the history of Batman, but the fourth year is much more important for the entire world. The dark shadows of World War II reached America, and the whole nation went to war. As a result, comic books entered the war as well. In these dark times, heroes were much needed, and Batman was only one among many others who fought for good. Even 4 years later, Gotham still looked like New York. On our first 2 episodes, we learned that Batman's original city was New York, and it was then changed to Gotham in the second year. However, Gotham still looks like New York, with landmarks like the Statue of Liberty as shown in Detective Comics number 63. Meanwhile, the Joker is finally killed in the electric chair in Detective Comics number 64. Joker is later revived with a special chemical by his henchmen, making this a truly weird story, which also includes Batman and Robin ice skating for the first time. Interestingly and technically, this was the first time the Joker actually died, but he soon returns in Batman number 11, where he finally kills Robin. But if Joker can come back from the dead, so can Robin. Using a special machine, Batman revives the Boy Wonder. And this is why I get a feeling of deja vu when reading A Death in the Family. In World's Finest number 6, the people of Gotham have created a radio show about Batman's adventures. When a reporter discovers Batman's identity, Batman is helped by a forgotten actor who was about to die. The actor impersonates Batman and fools the reporter when Bruce and Batman appear in the same room. Moments later, the actor dies and Bruce's secret is saved once again. Fun fact, this story is called The Secret of Bruce Wayne, and the ending of the story is very similar to the ending of the episode The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne from Batman the Animated Series. In Detective Comics number 65, we get a glimpse of Batman's expert shooting abilities. Too great in fact for someone who doesn't really use his guns. We also get to see the dynamic duo using skis for the first time. Now about the cover of this issue. These kids with Batman and Robin are the Boy Commandos, a group of young soldiers that first appeared in Detective Comics. Interestingly, they were created by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, the masterminds behind Captain America. And speaking of new characters, Two-Face was introduced in Detective Comics number 66. Two-Face is introduced as Gotham City's District Attorney Harvey Kent. That's right, Kent, not Dent, something that will eventually change. The origin story is pretty much the standard origin that we all know for Two-Face. Here, Harvey Kent's face is scarred in half when the criminal boss Moroni throws acid at him. When Kent is rejected by his fiancée, Gilda, he is furious and he chooses to commit crimes as Two-Face. He also takes the double-headed coin from Moroni and scars one of its sides, leaving one side clean. Using this coin to decide his actions between good or evil, Two-Face becomes a new criminal force in Gotham. Now, this story ends on a cliffhanger as Batman makes Two-Face decide his ultimate fate and he tosses the coin to make the decision. What's interesting is that this story is the first 2-part story in Detective Comics, giving Two-Face a whole new meaning with the number 2. However, this story wouldn't continue in the next issue, but in the one after that, so we'll get to that story later. But before we go, a real fun fact in this issue. People are watching a Superman movie in a theater, making this the first time that the Man of Steel appears on a Batman comic. Then there is Batman number 12, which is very important. On the first story, the secret hall of trophies in Batman's home is revealed. This room is hidden behind a 6-inch thick steel door with a combination lock, and it's supposed to be somewhere in Wayne Manor. Here, Batman keeps some memorabilia from his past cases like the dog decoy used by Joker and Penguin's umbrella. And on the second story, the Batcave is finally introduced. Except not really. This place was simply known as Batman's secret underground hangar, but for all intents and purposes, this is the Batcave. Now let's check some backstory of the Batcave. The Batcave officially appeared in the Batman film serial from 1943, 1 year later from Batman number 12. The film serial developed the Batcave by making it an actual cave with bats and placing the secret entrance behind the grandfather clock in Wayne Manor. The second episode was even named the Bat's Cave. Reportedly, Bob Kane and Bill Finger drew inspiration from this concept to change the name of the secret underground hangar to Batcave. But just the name. Because you see, the comic version of the Batcave appeared in October of 1943 on a newspaper strip, shortly after the airing of the Batman serial episodes. However, the image featured in the comic strip is a carbon copy of the image in Batman number 12. The only things that are different are the Batman's secret underground study, which was adapted from the serial, and the change of the secret laboratory from Wayne Manor to the cave. Now, these few changes don't really mean much in the bigger picture, so that's why the Batcave first appeared in Batman number 12, and it was further developed in the Batman serial. Did you get all that? And to think this was just a simple underground tunnel. And then things just go crazy. First, Batman and Joker fight on top of a zeppelin, then Batman fights lions and rides a loop-the-loop to a barn in fire. Also, did you know Batman keeps a pocket mirror in his utility belt? On the fourth story, Gotham celebrates Batman Day. A new statue for Batman and Robin is revealed, and the people of Gotham celebrate their prime crime fighter. Funny how nowadays there is an actual Batman Day in the real world. Also, in that story, Batman and Robin sleep in beds with bat-shaped bed frames. In World's Finest number 7, Batman and Robin use the first variation of their suits, white suits. They use them to avoid detection in the snowy areas. These suits are also made of heating materials to prevent the heroes from freezing to death. We resume the Two-Face story in Detective Comics number 68, when Two-Face finally decides to continue his criminal activities, but he finds himself missing his fiancée, Gilda. He tries to visit her, faking a restored face, but his makeup begins to fade. In the end, Batman manages to capture Two-Face after a member of his own gang double-crosses him. The part where Two-Face misses Gilda is similar to the episode Two-Face Part 2 of Batman the Animated Series, where Two-Face also misses his fiancée, Grace. Fun fact, during one of the fights between Batman and Two-Face, Batman is stunned by nothing more than Two-Face's coin. It must be one heavy coin. On the first story of Batman number 13, Dick Grayson is fired as Robin, but it was all just a trick. Oh, the Golden Age. And on the second story, Joker almost kills Robin. Again. And at this point, this was just an obsession. And on the fourth story, Dick Grayson infiltrates a train pretending to sell Batman comics and World's Finest comics. Talk about self-publicity. In Detective Comics number 69, Bruce Wayne goes on a date with Linda Page to an amusement park, where they get stuck on a Ferris wheel, several feet above the ground. When the bat signal appears in the sky, Bruce pretends that he falls from the ride, but somehow he lands safely, and just like that, he leaves Linda and goes to the police headquarters. Ah, Bruce. Always such a gentleman. And if that wasn't funny, how about the moment when Batman asks Robin to kick him in the pants after the Joker escapes from their custody? Batman squats down and Robin straight up kicks Batman in the butt. Oh, the Golden Age. In Detective Comics number 70, Batman uses one gadget that nobody ever knew about, the Batman's badge, which is a bat-shaped emblem encrusted with diamonds. Batman number 14 is the first time the effects of the war touch on Batman. On the third story, Batman and Robin are attacked by some Nazi spies, and the duo has to take down the secret Nazi organization that was planning to sabotage America's defenses. And then on the fourth story, Penguin is finally captured and he's sentenced to death. But will he die? Next, there is Detective Comics number 71, where Joker manages to burn the Batmobile, wrecking the car once again. This is the second time that Joker destroys the Batmobile. In Detective Comics number 72, the first outside view of Wayne Manor is revealed, and it looks really simple compared to the modern versions of the plays. The cover of Batman number 15 features Batman, who was the hero who never used a gun, once again, shooting a gun, and he is apparently enjoying it. But before we judge too harshly, remember, the world was at war, and the American government needed to send supplies for the American troops. Among these supplies were, of course, comic books, and to make them more appealing for the soldiers, these kind of covers appeared in almost every other comic book. Those were really hard times for everybody. Moving on, the first story of Batman number 15, Catwoman falls in love with Bruce Wayne. During one of her crimes, she tells Batman that she would give up her life of crime if she had a chance with Bruce. Batman lets her go and starts dating her as Bruce Wayne, which of course breaks Linda's heart. After a while, Bruce announces his engagement with Catwoman, but the Cat Lady discovers that it's all a trick to force her out of crime. Catwoman returns to her criminal ways, but in the end she is finally captured and arrested by Batman, who has cleared his mistake with Linda, breaking Selina's heart instead. The third story is yet again a war-related title, where Batman and Robin see two possible futures, one where the Nazis won World War II, and the other, the one that actually happened. A grim story with a message of hope. And the fourth story of Batman number 15 is the second Batman Christmas special, where we get to see the Christmas Batplane. Next up is Detective Comics number 73, the second appearance of the Scarecrow and sadly, his last appearance during the Golden Age. In World's Finest number 9, the bat rope is upgraded for the second time as Batman incorporates a sharp tip at the end of the rope so it could penetrate solid objects. The final Detective Comics issue of this year is number 74, and it introduces the rare villains Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The Tweeds are very fat, twin-like cousins who start a crime spree on Gotham. They take the names of Tweedledum and Tweedledee as a play on words of their names, Dumfrey Tweed and Deaver Tweed. They are also disguised as the famous characters from the book Through the Looking Glass, or commonly known as Alice in Wonderland, and they really look exactly like them. And finally, we end this year with Batman number 16, which is the most important comic of this entire year. On the first story of Batman number 16, Joker becomes a good person after he hits his head and forgets everything about his past. However, his amnesia was temporal, and in the end he returned to be the good old Joker. Oh wait, no, the bad old Joker. The third story serves as a self-advertising once again as Batman reads his own comic. And finally, the fourth story of Batman number 16 is called Here Comes Alfred. Yes, this story is the first appearance of Alfred, the trusted butler. Alfred is introduced as a chubby, polite Englishman who has come to America looking to serve Bruce Wayne as his butler. Alfred's father was the previous butler for the Wayne family, and his only dying wish was for Alfred to serve them as well. At first, Bruce is reluctant to accept the man as he would be a problem for Batman and Robin. However, that night, some thugs tried to steal from Wayne Manor and the dynamic duo chased the criminals away, leaving Alfred behind with one of the thugs in the house. Alfred notices that Bruce and Dick are gone, and while fighting the criminal left behind, he moves a shield from the wall and a secret door is opened. Alfred walks inside, discovering the secret laboratory and the underground Batplane hangar. Now Alfred was an amateur detective, but it would take a blind man not to realize the truth. And so Alfred deduces that Bruce and Dick are Batman and Robin. After this, Alfred helps Batman and Robin capture the criminals, and the next day, Alfred reveals that he knows the secret of the dynamic duo. Batman has no choice but to allow Alfred to stay, and boy aren't we glad he did. As you could see, there are some great and crazy moments during this whole year, but the most important ones are definitely the first appearances of Two-Face and Alfred, and the very first real concept for the Batcave. And in the 5th year, things just go downhill.